Hi everyone, I hope all of you are able to hear me. All of you are doing great, first of all, and thanks for joining. And this session is going to focus on 60 days to CAT, right? And I know that there is going to be a lot of anxiety. A lot of you have questions. You want to know what you should be doing in the next 60 days and so on, right? So, uh, whatever questions you have, right, feel free to ask in the YouTube chat. We are going to take all these questions, and I hope I'm able to answer all the questions that you guys have, right? So whatever it is, there are no silly questions or there are no nothing like that, right? So feel free to ask whatever it is that you want to ask. Okay. uh, okay, I can see, hi Karthik, hi Tanu, hi Rohit Sharma. So there's a question from Karthik, right? And that is going to be the first question that I take. Hello sir, I belong to EWS category. What is safe percentile for any IM such as YZAG or any other? So when you look at the selection process of the IMs, right, of course, different categories have different minimum sectional percentile that are required to be eligible to get a call. And post that, once you get a shortlist, of course, it depends on how you perform in the interview. So my point is very simple, that rather than thinking about a particular score or a percentile, because see, that can change year on year. So you don't know what exactly is going to be that percentile. So whatever is the percentile of, let's say, last year for a particular B school, try to aim for at least, I would say, 4 to 5 percentile more than that for any of the categories, right? So if, let's say, for example, the cutoff was, let's say, 95, then you aim for at least, I would say, 98, 99. So there is no safe score or percentile as such, because you don't know how many people are going to be taking the test. That will also have an impact on the final percentile cutoff. So instead of thinking of a safe score, you try to maximize it to whatever extent possible. Now, whatever data that you have from the past, right, look at that and aim for slightly higher score, right? So it could be 3 to 4 percentile or even more, depending on which category you're talking about. Okay. All right. We have a lot of questions coming in, so I'm going to go in the order in which we're receiving these questions. There's a question from D_Bechara. How to prepare for decision making for ZAT? Now you have a lot of time for that, and this session is going to focus on the CAT preparation of the next 60 days. It's not specifically about ZAT. But when it comes to the decision making section of ZAT, it's easy for anybody to prepare for it in that 1 month that you're going to get post CAT. So right now, I wouldn't suggest you to spend a lot of time on it. It's not required. If you want, you can have a look at any of the past ZAT papers. Just look at the sectional, the decision making section, wherein try to understand what kind of questions are asked, and you will realize that it is not very, very different. If you have been practicing your RCs and your critical reasoning and all of that, decision making is just going to be an extension of it. So it's not going to be very, very difficult for you to prepare. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is from Growth is a Life. Okay, I start preparation from just week ago. How to handle it? All right, so you just started preparing, and I know it can get very overwhelming in the beginning. So the simple advice is focus on the fundamentals. So the class exercises that you have, right? You will have to put in definitely more effort compared to a lot of people because you have recently started. So you'll have to do something like, let's say, 2 class exercises per day. Okay, just so that you are able to finish your more or less your prep over the next 30-35 days, and then use the remaining time aggressively for test taking. So I'm not saying that don't take any test during the next 30-35 days. Uh, what I'm trying to say is that your focus is going to be more on understanding concepts in the next 30-35 days, and then the remaining is going to be more on test taking. So in the next 30 days, this is the first 30 days out of the 60 days that you have, focus on doing class exercises very well, and in addition to that, at least take 1 mock test every alternate day, or 1 mock test in 3 days. What this will do is it will ensure that you are able to apply whatever you are learning, and it is giving you enough opportunity to also get better at test taking. Right? See, test taking is a separate skill. It's a skill that needs a little bit of a time to get better at, and that is why you cannot complete your entire preparation first and then go and take SIMCATs. You will have to take them together. As you are preparing, you'll have to keep on taking mock tests, and that is the path that you should be following. Okay, moving on to the next question that we have got, and this is by Rohit Sharma, 1093, 1293, UG 65, OBCNC male, fresher. Okay, so see, again, the session is not about what percentile to aim for, right? Because if potentially you can get a 99, you should aim for 99. right? You should not be aiming for anything less than that. So that is why don't keep thinking about the percentile cutoffs, etc. of individual categories, because you never know how many students firstly will be there in that category in that particular year. So the exercise becomes slightly meaningless, I would say. It is important to look at, okay, last year what was the cutoff. So if you get to know, okay, last year the cutoff for OBC, NCOBC was, let's say, 95 for a particular IM. Now you aim for more than that. That's the only advice that I have. So if you look at, let's say, an EWS or SC, ST, PWD, you look at the numbers from last year. Whatever data that you get, add something to it, and then aim for at least that much. Okay? You should always aim higher. A lot of cutoffs are very difficult to predict because of you have no idea as to how many students are going to be applying in that particular category. Okay, moving on to a question from Aditya Srivastav. I'm still left with some topics. Please advise the proper sequence I should follow from class exercise to practice exercise to benchmarking test, and in how many days should I be done. Now, whatever topics that you're left with, right? So let's say if you're left with, let's take 10 topics, right? While taking all the mocks that you're going to be taking from now on, so all of you need to have a mock schedule, right? So this is when I'm going to take SimCats, and this is when I'm going to take the PassCat papers, right? So SimCats and PassCat papers are very, very important. So make a schedule for that. And on the days when you're not taking a test, those days are devoted for core preparation. So let's say if there are 10 topics remaining, you have next 20 days and you plan to take one mock every alternate day. On the remaining 10 days, you have to prepare. Now regarding the order that you're asking, so obviously practice exercise is on the slightly higher side compared to class exercise. But you have to do class exercise first, then only you can go to practice exercise. So where the topics are easy, you can go from class exercise to benchmarking test directly. If the topic is slightly difficult, I would suggest that you do class exercise plus practice exercise plus the benchmarking test, if you have enough time. See, because I don't know how much time each of you is getting, right? Some of you could be working professionals, some of you could be students, some of you are currently only preparing for the test. So depending on how much time you have, you can decide exactly where you want to spend it. Question from Z03 Gaming. VS score has been reducing continuously. What should I do? See, VS score is a big function of how much reading do you do. Right? So you have to get used to reading difficult content. That can happen either in the form of solving RCs, or it can happen in the form of reading articles. And as a CAT aspirant in the next 60 days, you have to do both. So I would suggest that you do at least 4, 5, 6 RCs depending on how much time you get. In addition to that, at least 30 minutes of reading, right, which could be reading from any of the international sources that are available, whether it is Guardian, whether it is the New York Times, New Yorker, Arts and Letters Daily, Aeon, whatever it is, right. Try and read a couple of articles. It could be a mix of technology, history, geography, and so on. 3 to 4 articles, about 30 minutes a day. I think that will really help. Okay, so that's the first thing that I would suggest. The second is to analyze your mocks, because when your score is dropping, right, there will be some reasons behind that. For example, it could be because of temperament, you're not able to perform very well, or it could be because of wrong question selection, or it could be because you haven't practiced enough questions of a particular area. So maybe parajumbles, you always make a mistake. The solution for that could be to solve 30, 40, 50 parajumbles questions before you take the next SimCat. So analyze the SimCats that you have taken, and whatever insights that you get from that, use it to your advantage, and then plan prep during the between the two SimCats that you have. Okay. All right. Question from SK. For ISB's new course, the deadline is in December. If the CAT 24 score is not released until then, will we not be eligible to apply? Okay, so firstly, ISB has mentioned that they are going to be taking CAT 24 score, right? And they also know that the result may or may not get announced by then. Generally, all such programs, and I think their application is going to start from 2nd October, they will have a provision to update your score or upload your score. So let's say right now you can say that, okay, I'm going to apply with CAT 23 score, but they will have a provision to upload it at a later point of time. In fact, if the deadline is 21st December for this year, last year the CAT result was announced on the same day. Right? So I think 21st December it came out last year. So we can hope that, okay, this year also it will come out by the same time. But even then, of course, once they release the form filling guidelines on 2nd October, the form filling process begins. We will have a clarity as to how exactly you are supposed to enter that information, right? That you are going to apply through your CAT score. All right, Ayushi, how much is masterclass of IMS important? Okay, so see, masterclasses are it's something that we developed after last year's CAT, right? So these are all new questions that we have created for students. There are total 40 masterclasses, 20 are class exercises and 20 are practice exercises. For both of them, you have solutions that are available. Okay, so for class exercises, you have video solutions. For the practice exercises, we are currently running a series where we are doing those questions in a live format, and the recording of that is made available to the students under the channel section of MyMS. So definitely important because they deal with higher difficulty problems. But who should be doing it, right? That is the question that is more important. So people who have already reached a 90 percentile level, right? What I mean by that is in SimCats, you're getting a reasonably decent score. You have covered the concepts, so the basic concepts are done, then you can do master classes. But if for a topic you're not done basics, so let's say you're not studied algebra, then going to algebra master classes is not going to make sense. So do the basic concepts. I would say the bare minimum in my mind is going to be class exercise. If you have done class exercise of a topic, you can look at master class of that particular topic. Okay. All right. Moving on to question from Nishtha Saxena. I'm going in the same order in which I can see the questions in the chat. Please suggest any college good in HR that I can take as a backup. Okay, there are a lot of great options for HR, whether you talk about the XLRI Jamshedpur, you have Tata Institute of Social Sciences, you have MDI HR, you have a lot of IIMs offering HR specific programs. So again, you have a lot of options, right? SCMHRD, MDHR is what I can think of right now. But again, there are a lot of options. So regarding backup, if you're asking from non-CAT exams, one thing that you can definitely look at is going to be SCMHRD. That's a great option. Another thing is going to be ZAT, so XLRI Jamshedpur, and then there are other institutes that are available. But again, see, right now I would say CAT is going to be the thing that you prepare for, right? If you're prepared for CAT, you are automatically getting prepared for some of the other exams that are out there. So it's not going to be a big concern. IGA, I'm doing good and DILR, but poor. Good in DILR is what I'm assuming, but poor at Quants. Any tips for how to clear sectional for Quants? So if you look at again the last few years history of CAT and how the questions, what areas the questions have been asked from, arithmetic generally is the dominant part. So that tells me that I have to do arithmetic. So I tell all the students one very simple thing to look at is you have 5 major areas in Quant. You have numbers, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and modern maths. Now out of 5, you have to identify which 3 areas I am going to be good at, and one of them has to be arithmetic. So you can't say that I will go to CAT and arithmetic is not something that I've done or it's not something that I'm good at. So to improve your Quant score, a sure shot way is to get very good at arithmetic, and the remaining 2 areas is your choice. So you can say that okay, I can do say an arithmetic, algebra, geometry. Those 3 areas are my strengths. Or you can say an arithmetic, algebra, numbers, or you may say arithmetic, geometry, and modern maths. That option you have. But out of 5, 3 areas bare minimum you have to be good at, and out of those 3 areas, one of them has to be arithmetic. Okay, so look at your entire all the topics that you have done and all of that, and see if it is fitting into this thing that we just discussed. D underscore Bechara, any trick to remember the never-ending theorems of geometry? Yeah, it's a good question, and geometry is huge, right? So there is no way in which people can simply solve questions without knowing theorems. But the point is to really understand the theorem. See, by-hearting theorem tends to a situation where you end up forgetting them sometimes. But if you truly understand why is that happening, right? For example, very simple thing, right? Perpendicular from the center to a chord bisects the chord. But if you truly understand why that is the case, right, as to how things will happen, that okay, you drop a perpendicular, now you connect those radii, right, and then you get those 2 congruent triangles and all of that. So if you understand the methodology behind it, the concept behind it, you tend to remember that better. And even if you forget, you will be able to somehow work around that situation and come to a conclusion that okay, this is what it is. So understand it that way and then try to learn rather than just trying to muck things up, because then you tend to forget it. Alright, Archana Sridharan, I have not started take home and sectionals. I have only taken all SimCATs. How can we incorporate take home SimCATs and sectionals along with ongoing SimCATs? Can you provide a rough weekly schedule? Simple advice, again, SimCATs on alternate days, proctored SimCATs if you have any backlog. But since you mentioned that I have taken all proctored SimCATs there, I'm assuming there's no backlog there. But let's say people who have some backlog and all of that, whether it is proctored or it is take home, every alternate day from now on, if you take a mock, nothing like it. Okay, that's the best thing that you can do. Then on alternate days, you do sectionals and you can combine 3 sectionals. See, one thing is taking a full length test for 2 hours, right? That is one way of practicing it. The other way of practicing is to do 3 sectionals, one of Quant, one DILR, one VRC, which is equivalent of solving the number of questions that you do in a SimCAT. Correct. So on alternate days, sectionals, you can actually, if you do this, in the next 10 days, you will finish your sectionals. If you want to go a little slow, you can do 2 sectionals per day. Then you can finish it in 15 days. Right? But alternate day SimCATs, which is either a take home or a proctored, that's the way to go. You can also add past CAT papers to this. Right? So if I have to make a schedule, I will do something like this. On a Monday, I take a full length test. It can be either a proctored SimCAT or a take home SimCAT or a past CAT paper. Tuesday, I do a combination of sectionals and I work on the areas that I need to improve on. Okay, that is how you approach this. Okay, growth is a life. How much CAT percentile is required for MICA? So MICA looks at 2 things. It's a combination of your MICAT score plus your CAT or ZAT score. So you need to have a reasonably decent score in both of them, or a very high score in one of them, and then you can survive even with a slightly lower score in the other. It's a combination, so you can't really say that okay, this will help me clear. But looking at the past data, we can say 80 plus percentile is the bare minimum thing to target. Mostly we have seen people at 85 and above having a good chance of getting a call from MICA, provided your MICAT score is also in place. But a bare minimum aim, I would say, is to have, I would say, an 80-85 kind of a thing as the bare minimum. Okay. Tips for better VRC score. Hi Dev. So for VRC, as I mentioned, right, a lot of reading is going to be very, very crucial. So at least solving 4, 5, 6 RCs every day, in addition to whatever you may be doing. So let's say even if I take a full length SimCAT today, I'm still going to solve additional 4, 5 RCs today. Okay. This will ensure that I am doing enough, my exposure is enough to be in a good position. Okay. So that is one. And the other thing is, of course, the general reading that you do, right? See, because all of us, while we are CAT students, right, CAT aspirants, we tend to forget this thing that there is beauty and joy in normal reading as well, right? So just read something for fun. It will ensure that you are not losing your mind, right? Because otherwise you're always in that solving mode. You're constantly trying to solve something. But it's also important to read for fun, which helps. Okay. SK, for those with work ex who have taken 1 year gap year, should they be focusing on interview prep as well side by side? Does a gap year generally impact selection? So right now you don't have to start your interview prep per se, because even after CAT you have a nice 1.5 months before the interviews actually begin. At that time you can frame your answers, you can write down all of that, right? So there is enough time. But what you need to work on, right, is if let's say there are some aspects of your profile wherein you think that okay, I don't have some great profile, maybe there is an extra certification that I can do. Even right now, spending let's say an hour a day to improve, but I'm not going to overdo it. So I'm not going to, for example, take up an internship right now if I don't have an internship, because it will consume a lot of my time and it will take me away from my focus, which is CAT preparation. So instead of that, I will, if there is any particular certification or course that I'm pursuing, right, that I'm okay with. So you can spend, let's say, an hour a day or 1.5 hours a day, which isn't taking your focus away from CAT. But if you're getting limited time in the first place, let's say you're getting only 4 hours to prepare for the CAT, then I'm not expecting you to do anything to improve your profile at this point of time. After CAT, you can take up courses, certifications, you can do internships post that, or you can take up a job after CAT, right? So you will have enough time to work on this whole thing. Right now, it's just going to be a distraction, I would say. Okay. Ayushi, what should be ideal timetable to study till end November? I started preparing in June. So I've already more or less covered it. I hope you got that, which is on alternate days you take a SimCAT or a proctored SimCAT or a take-home SimCAT or a PassCAT paper, and then on alternate days you do sectionals plus whatever content improvement that you have to work on. It could be watching master classes, it could be doing let's say a benchmarking test, it could be doing a class exercise or a practice exercise or a revision of a particular topic, right? Uh, Okay, Rohit Sharma, VRC tops. Okay, I didn't understand that question, but we'll move on. Tejas, I gave CAT last year. It was the biggest nightmare of my life. Whenever I give mock, it is always there in the back of my mind. Forget that it happened, right? Easier said than done. I know that. I mean, it's easy to say take it out of your memory, but that's not going to happen. We are not living in the Potter universe. So it's okay. Right? See, whatever happened last year, it has already happened and it's history. You cannot go back in time and change it. Okay, so just focus on what lies ahead of you, put in your best over the next 60 days, and you'll be surprised with the result. Okay? See, people at different point of time, a lot of people uh, needed multiple attempts to get to where they are right now. So even when I was a student, I had taken 2 attempts, right? First attempt wasn't great. I didn't even knew at that point of time, I mean, I didn't even understand how exactly to prepare for the CAT. I was just attending classes and then just taking mock tests on the weekends without knowing what is required to really crack it. So it takes a while. Sometimes there is that tipping point. Once you hit that, then you are able to do well. But right now it's okay. I mean, you don't have to think about what happened in the past. Okay. All right. Question from Vicky. I have a question regarding application filling for CAT. Should I consider SDA Bocconi as I'm from finance background? Reasonably good option to consider, and they also accept the NMAT score, so you can consider that as well. Visit B School Zone because that is where we put all these application links, the important timelines, and all of that. So those of you who haven't done it, go to B School Zone. So we have a page called B School Zone of IMS. People who are already IMS students can access it through my IMS. There is a section called B School Zone. People who are not IMS students, there is a link bschoolzone.imsindia.com. You can simply go there and access it. It's a free for all tool. Okay. Vaibhav, can anyone with average profile get into Blackie IMs? Okay, so see, when you say average profile, right, it's a very generic way of putting it. The point is there should be something that meets the selection criteria. Whatever may be the selection criteria. And if you look at the old IMs, they are generally very particular about 10th, 12th grad, so consistent academic record. But when you look at the new IMs, they are not so particular about your 10th, 12th grad. So a lot of them, the process is completely through, I mean the initial shortlisting at least, is heavily dependent on your CAT score. So if you get a high CAT score, you're solving all the profile problems that you have. So don't worry about that. Rather than worrying about what are your chances at individual IMs, you try and just improvise your score. The higher you score, obviously you will create more options for yourself. Okay. All right. Moving on to a question from Vicky. Karthik, I get extremely confused with statement type questions for DLR. I just keep reading the conditions out of the loop. How do I get out of this? So on your rough sheet, you can write down. So let's say there are 6 conditions that are given in the question. On your rough sheet, you can write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once you are done with a particular condition, you have put it in your table or whatever figure that you are making, just strike it off. Okay, so that you don't go back to that particular condition. How many attempts to clear Quant sectional cutoff is what Sneha is asking. Past data indicates about 5 to 6 questions would have been sufficient in the last few years to clear the Quant sectionals. This is assuming 100% accuracy. So if your accuracy is on the lower side, of course you'll have to attempt a little bit more. All right, Ritik 987, 2-year work ex OBC, can you do a profile review? See, the session is not really about this, right? So it's not really about profile review. My point is again very, very straightforward, that all of you focus on CAT prep over the next 60 days, and all of these things are just distractions in your mind. That will I get a call, will I not get a call, is my profile good enough, and so on and so forth. but you're not realizing that the most important factor is going to be your CAT score. That will help you get a shortlist, and once you get a shortlist, you can always convince the panel as to why you are the right fit. But right now, you should not be worrying about your profile. Kishore is asking, is taking 3 mocks per day, is it of any use? I think it's an overkill. You will be burning yourself out very, very quickly if you do this. Instead, even if you take, let's say, 1 mock, as I said, every alternate day, and 1 CAT equivalent, which is 3 sectional tests every day or 2 sectional tests every day also, that is going to be a large number of questions. So you don't have to do this overkill of taking 3 mocks per day. I will say do 1 mock a day, but analyze it really, really well. Okay. And then work on the areas where you are struggling. Okay. See, unless you are somebody who has completed content, if you have completed content, even then you don't need to take 3 mocks per day. Okay, how to manage NMAT and SNAP with CAT prep? Question from Hem Shukla. So regarding NMAT, depending on when you're going to take it, are you going to take it pre-CAT or post-CAT? You can decide how many mocks you want to take. My suggestion is to take 2 mocks in October, 2 in November, right? If you're planning to take it after CAT. Okay, so those of you are planning to take NMAT after CAT, 2 mocks of NMAT in October, 2 mocks in November, just to get a sense of what NMAT is. Okay, and then rest of them you can take it in December. In case you are attempting it prior to CAT, you of course don't have a choice. You will have to take more mocks starting from now, 1 per week to begin with, and as you go closer to the date, you increase the frequency. Regarding SNAP prep, because it's a very short, it's a 1 hour test, there are 10 mocks that we give. It's possible to complete those mocks even in 5 days. So I would not suggest you to do anything specific for SNAP at this point of time. The only additional thing that you would need is going to be the logical puzzles and vocab based questions and some technical aspects of grammar that can be done post CAT. Right now, if you still want to do a little bit of it, you can have maybe 1 or 2 mocks of SNAP, but don't complete them, right? So maybe just do 1 or 2, don't try and do everything, because we're planning to release more mocks in the next couple of weeks. Don't exhaust them. So instead, keep it for December. Alright, question from Ishita Garg, how to prepare for DILR if I'm not able to score, and what is the safe number of questions to attempt in DILR in CAT? So there is no safe score per se, but then looking at the last few years, I think one good set end to end, if you've done 100% correct, that will typically help you to clear the sectional cutoff. If you are aiming for a higher score, of course you will need to solve more sets. Aroma, is Bitsom a good business school? So standalone, pretty much every business school is a decent business school. Right? What matters is which institute you're comparing it against. That's one. Second is, what is your life situation, whether the college makes sense for you. So if I'm already somebody who is, let's say, has a decent profile, and you think that, okay, this institute, whichever it is, I'm not only talking about Bitsom, but any other institute, right? You think that this institute will take me to a 2x or a 3x of my existing salary, right? Take that call. Okay. Versus if you think that, no, this institute, I'm already working, this institute is offering a CTC which is just 50% more than what I have right now. It's not really making sense, correct? Because you can always wait and you can join a better institute next year. Again, right now, too early to talk about these things, but it's a nice, they haven't done anything, I mean, all of the things that they've done in the last few years since they started, right? They're on the right track to be one of the top business schools in India. So right now, it's still a good option, but yeah, it's a new business school. Generally, we look at, or we rather tend to comment on a business school only after 4 or 5 years. So still there is some time, but again, I'm not taking anything away from Bitsom, and the entire BITS fraternity and the fact that it's coming from them, that definitely helps, right? So and even the campus is good. They've moved to new campus now, so yeah. Okay. Alright, Pernika has asked, is the cutoff of JBMS really 99.99 percentile? The answer is yes. Is there any sectional cutoff of JB, and how much marks do we need to get per section for getting 99.99 overall? So JB has a slightly complicated process, right? Currently the process is that you take the Maharashtra MBA CET and the entire process happens post that. You can be anybody, whether you're a Maharashtra student or not a Maharashtra student. you're still eligible for the MBA CET. You can take it. 85% of the seats in the institute are reserved for Maharashtra candidates. 15% are reserved are for all India candidates, which means anybody can claim it. So for those all India seats, you can submit either a CAT, CET, CMAT, MAT, ATMA score. But for Maharashtra students, it is only through CET. So those 85% of the seats is only through CET. Typically for Maharashtra seats, if you're a general candidate, cutoff could be 99.9 or slightly higher than that. For all India, typically cutoff is 99.99 or 99.98. Okay, Aman, what is the strategy for last 60 days and how to manage these days? As I said, alternate days, one full-length mock test. It could be a proctored SimCAT, a take-home SimCAT, or a PassCAT paper. And on the alternate days, you focus on improving your content, either through doing, let's say, master classes or sectional tests and so on. Arsina, I have given more than 20 SimCATs, which includes all 13 proctored SimCATs, but I've never scored more than 65 percentile. Should I start preparing for other exams, or is it still possible to score good? See, Arsh, that is why we give something called as predicted CAT percentile, right? Because a lot of students look at their SimCAT percentile and they think that I'm not doing well. But instead of that, look at your predicted CAT percentile as well, which should help you to gain slight confidence. Having said that, look at your score. Right? See, percentile, whether it is the SimCAT percentile or a predicted percentile, ultimately it's always difficult to do that prediction because you never know how many people are going to take it and what the difficulty would be. So focus on score instead and think of whether your score is roughly in the range of whatever percentile that you are aiming for in CAT, okay, rather than thinking about the SimCAT percentile that you will. So you still have enough time. You have 60 days. If you do even 66 questions a day, that's close to 4,000 questions that you will solve before you face the CAT. That number is sufficient. That exposure is enough. Focus on what you can do in the next 2 months rather than giving up at this point of time. How many college applications should I fill? I'm very confused. How many should be ideal is a question from Vicky. Typically, I would suggest people to apply to anywhere between 10 to 15 institutes. Okay. What this means is that, so again, assuming in CAT you filled all the IMs, right? Then depending on what percentile you're expecting, you can apply to say 6 or 7 institutes, right? Then through NMAT, a couple of them, through SNAP, a few institutes, through ZAT, a few institutes, right? So overall, I think 10-15 extra applications you will definitely have to make, right? That becomes a bare minimum for a lot of people. In fact, people end up doing even sometimes close to 20 different applications, right? So it depends. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is from Abhijit. Not able to clear cutoff in all the 3 sections till now. What to expect? Okay. So Abhijit, focus on again where you're making errors, right? Why you're not able to clear the sectional cutoff. Is it a selection issue, an accuracy issue, or a content issue? And whatever is that issue, address that first. So if you think that, okay, in Quant I haven't done enough topics, add a couple of topics and then take the next SimCAT. If you think, okay, I'm always struggling in, let's say, a when set based question, do 10 sets of when based sets and then you come back to the next SimCAT, right? So that is the approach to follow. Moving to SK, I'm behind on the syllabus. If I watch recorded live class video plus do class exercise to catch up, would that be sufficient, or should I do everything from PCV to benchmarking test? No, you don't have to do everything. See, ultimately you decide what you want to do. It's practically maybe an overkill to do everything that IMS is providing. Starting from, if I start doing pre-class videos, pre-class quiz, then class exercise, practice exercise, benchmarking test, and practice sets, all of that, PassCAT papers, everything may not be possible. Instead, I will decide what is going to maximize the returns for myself and then focus on that. Okay. So you can tweak the flow that we have given. Alright, what is the p-value? Okay, so p-value indicates how easy or difficult a question is. This is a question which was repeatedly asked by Naresh. It's not PA value, it's p-value. What p-value indicates is that whether the question is easy or difficult. So it's a percentage of population who got the question right. So if let's say 90% of the people attempted it, 90% of them got it right, the p-value becomes 90% of 90, which is 81. 81 p-value will indicate that it is an easy question. So anything less than 30 is difficult, anything between 30 to 60 is moderate, and anything above 60 is easy. So that is what p-value is. As Jatin's follow-up question is whether it is ABC, right? Those p-values tell you if it is ABC. P-value greater than 60 is A, p-value between 30 to 60 is B, and p-value less than 30 is C. Prabhat, what minimum to do to fetch 90% and clearing sectional cutoff? My VSC is pretty good comparing to all sections, right? QA is bad. What is the minimum that you would need, right? So see, if you look at minimum in each of the sections, minimum 1 set in DILR, minimum 5 questions of Quant, and minimum of 6 to 8 questions in VRC. It could come from a combination of 2 correct RCs or 1.5 correct RCs and few verbal questions correct. So my bare minimum that I would suggest for anybody is to reach 8 correct attempts in VRC, 5 correct attempts in Quant, and 5 correct attempts in DLR. That's the first thing to get to. Once you get there, improvise and get better from there. Scoring around, this question from Rupal, scoring around 24 to 27 in VRC constantly, how to increase the score from here? Solving more RCs, right? So solving more sectionals, more tests, that's the way to go. Sankalp, how many questions should I attempt to get a 95 percentile in Quant? See, all of this data is available, right? So you more or less know what numbers you can look at. If the paper comes out to be difficult, I think something like 8 questions for 95 percentile. But if the question comes out, if the paper comes out to be easy, that could be close to 10 questions, right? So at least 10 questions out of 22 should be the aim that you have. Okay. Question from Ritik, one very important question during analyzing my SIMCAT, should I ignore C category questions? No, don't ignore them. Have a look at them to understand what not to solve in the paper. See, the C category questions, they also have a point, right? They are telling you that this is what you are not supposed to do. So only once you have seen it, you will be able to figure out that, okay, I should not be getting into it. Alright, I am not answering any of those profile evaluation questions and how much percentile do I need questions. Sorry for that. But again, the point is very simple, right? Why should you ask that question to anybody? And my suggestion is don't ask that question to anybody. See, no matter what profile you have, no matter what category you belong to, right? Because there is a competition everywhere. Even in general, there is a lot of competition. Even in EWS, SC, ST, NT, OBC, everywhere there is competition, right? So don't worry about that. Just focus on your CAT score. Get a high CAT score, and that will help you get somewhere, right? Where exactly, we don't know, right? And that is not a concern at this point of time. Practice questions are more important, or CAT past year questions are more important? CAT definitely. I mean, if I have to choose between between the two of them, I will definitely go with CAT past year questions. Can I skip geometry and probability? No, you cannot skip geometry and probability entirely. You still will have to do all the basics. Okay, what should be the mock test schedule ideally? I have already mentioned this enough in the session. Every alternate day you take a mock. I have not covered all the topics, but as we have less time left, should I start solving past CAT papers along with my prep? Definitely, Parnika, that's what we'll have to start with. Do we need to fill individual college forms for SNAP? Yes, but the process is integrated. So when you fill the SNAP form, in that only you have options to add multiple colleges. It's 1,000 rupees for every college. Right? Okay. Alright, I think some of the questions have started getting repetitive now. How to practice DLR? About 4, 5, 6 sets a day. That is the practice that you will need from now on, no matter how much you have done so far. Depending on, again, how much time you have and how much you need. Either 4, 5 or 6 sets. Time taken could be somewhere around 2 hours for this, right? So again, depending on how many sets you're doing. Maximum of 2 hours is what I would suggest. How is algebra, geometry and numbers? Again, I don't get the question. Percentile required for Blackie with whatever profile. Again, sorry to disappoint you, but we are here not to discuss all of those things, right? Because what's the point, right? See, if you start thinking about some number in your head, then it's an anchoring thing, right? Then everything starts revolving around that. So if I tell somebody that For you, even 90 percentile will be sufficient. Your efforts will be in that direction. Instead of that, if you think that okay, no, nothing, there is no safe score, let me aim for whatever high score that I can, your effort is going to be different. Okay, so don't think of the lower bounds, they generally don't help. Does trying for SPJN make sense for CAs? If you're talking about SPJIMR, again, it's a great institute, and if you're a CA, you can definitely apply. I'm preparing for CAT 25. Which IMS branch should I join, or should I go for online one? Smriti, it depends on you. If you think that you are more of a person who needs extra attention, you're going to need that support and all of that, classroom is the way to go. But if you think that no, you're fairly disciplined, you can prepare, but you still need guidance, then the online would be better. This year, will the score required for 99 percentile decrease compared to last year? Is a question from Swagato. So, can't say. I mean, nobody knows, right? Only the person who has set the CAT paper possibly knows how people are going to react. But even then, they don't know it. So, it's anybody's guess at this point of time. Only after the test, we may be in a position to comment on it. Should I consider giving GMAT as well if I'm applying to ISP except CAT score? Yes, why not? If it is possible for you, go ahead. I'm facing issues with VRC accuracy. What should be my plan for the rest of the days? So, mock plan I've already given you. But in addition to that, solving questions of whatever is the trouble area for you. So, if it is, let's say, summary questions, today, tomorrow, try and do, let's say, 30-40 summary questions. Finish it off for yourself, right? So it's a volume game ultimately. The more questions you do, the better you get. Okay, what is the size of the rough paper we get in CAT? So generally they give a booklet, and that booklet dimensions is something like half of an A4 size page, right? So generally that much. My voice is breaking. I'm not sure. I think it could be because of some internet fluctuations in between. Aishu Kumari, after 12th, I started earning. I had a family business. I worked for a few years. Can I share this information on my resume, etc.? Any experience will be considered only if it is full-time paid after graduation. Whatever you have done apart from that, you can talk about it in the interview room, but it does not give you any explicit points. Okay, so they won't consider it as a proper work experience. Alright, is it possible to improve scores in the last few days is what Shakshi is asking. Absolutely, right? I mean, otherwise we would not be having this conversation. So people, mostly you would not even attended this session if you were thinking that okay, it's not possible to improve. Right? See, the point is very simple, that all of you can get better with practice. Going to the gym on the first day versus the 30th day, there is a difference. You can lift more, right? You look better. So that's the whole point. 60 days, you can get better. Will we be sharing LMTC recording? Yes, we will do that. I just realized that the stream has gone really long. I mean, there's so many questions, and I was still on, I think maybe like the 25% roughly in that range. So what I'll do is I'll rather do the reverse now. I'll go to the bottom and start taking questions that I'm getting right now. Okay, so let me start somewhere with what Vicky Sen had asked regarding how to approach, right? So if you are in that batch that has recently started, you are in second module, then what do you do? So you still do the same thing, right? You do a mock on alternate days while taking care of the concept part, right? So you'll also have to spend more time. It's very clear. You'll have to put in extra effort to do everything together, right? So that's going to be a challenge, but you can definitely do it. Titan has asked, okay, I of course can't understand anything that you have written, so I'll not be able to answer that question. Vicky, I've already answered it. Okay, Krish, I missed last mile to CAT. Can you please summarize? So we're going to make the recording available in the next 1 or 2 days on my IMS portal. So those of you who are IMS students, on my IMS, you'll be able to access it. Okay. All-rounder 777. What is my chance for ABC? What percentile? Sorry, my friend, but can't answer that question. Right? Nobody can answer that question, by the way. People will give you an answer to maybe please you, but the point is you don't know how many students in that category will be applying. What would be the cutoff? There is absolutely no idea on that. Past data indicates that a 90 may be enough, but nobody knows. So I'm not going to give you an answer just because I have some numbers in my with me, but that may or may not make sense this year. Okay. What IMS comprehensive test series, NMAT tests have not shown yet in the test page. So we are releasing tests, right? So it's not that we have released all the tests that the students are supposed to get. We will keep adding more tests as we progress. Okay. Question from Sarthak, my DILR is weak, how should I practice? Sit, time yourself for 30 minutes maximum, 10 minutes, try to solve a set. If you're not able to get it, go add to the solution, take a hint, and then spend some time in that frustration and actually solve it. 93 possible, now full-time prep. Why not? Right? See, if all of these questions again, you just need some validation. Right? The point is, if you can go from X to Y in whatever time, you can go from X to Y. Okay. You have to figure out what exactly is required to do that. So if I think that okay, my aim is 93, and why don't you aim for a 95 or 97? What is required to get there? How many questions would I roughly need? Once I get that one data point, my energy is going to be on how do I make more attempts than that firstly, and how do I get more questions correct. So don't don't overthink. That's the point. Just keep working on whatever is the content that you have to improve. Ashwin, how to prepare for NMAT and CAT simultaneously? I have my NMAT within 3 days of CAT. So take about 3 mocks in October, 3 in November, and then remaining after CAT. So just make a plan for yourself as to when you want to take those mocks. Ansh, I have completed QS syllabus but only able to solve 2-3 questions in SimCATs. How to improve? See, the problem could be application then. If you have completed your syllabus, concepts are in place, then application is the issue. I would suggest you to do master classes and then look at your SimCATs. I have attended LMTC session. I'm not able to find Tony's DLR video. It's there. We have already uploaded it in the channel section. There is a section called the CAT Writer. You will find it there. Okay. Can I target Institute of Rural Management, Anand, for rural management? What's your opinion? Decent institute. I've had a couple of students in the past who have gone there. So IRMA is a decent option to consider. Should I apply for colleges like SPGN or should I wait for the result? I have 54 in 12, but last year and also in mocks I'm getting 85-90. So see, one bad score in a particular 10-12 grad should not generally completely destroy your chance. Depending on how you're done in other years. And 85-90 I think is a reasonable score if you're getting that. So I think you can apply. See, it's better to have that rejection rather than a regret. That is generally I look at things, right? That let me try it. If things don't work out, that is a rejection from the institute side. But if I don't apply and later I realize that okay, somebody with similar profile got a call, then I'll regret not applying. So it's better to get a rejection than a regret. Should I apply to SDA Bokoni? Why not? I mean, if you think that that is something that will help you to go ahead in your career, then you apply. Okay. We have limited time, so I think we'll have to wrap up the session in another 10 minutes. So I'm going to take some of the questions that we have not answered so far. I took 2-year drop and don't have work ex. I'm a volunteer in NGO. Should I mention it? Will that help? Or should I show fake experience? What will be the best to get admission in a good college? Firstly, I am nobody to take moral decision for others, right? So I am definitely not going to tell you what you should be doing regarding your fake experience. If you have worked in NGO, volunteering is not really a job. So you cannot show it as a work experience. You can talk about it in the interview room that okay, I did volunteering, but it is not work experience. Unless you were, let's say, working full-time with an NGO in the capacity of, let's say, a fundraiser or marketing manager or things like that. That is what my take is on this issue. Scoring decent in one section while bad in other two. By the way, please don't put the same question again and again, because it's not that because you'll paste it more number of times I'll take your question. Just put it once and I'm going through it, and if I find it something that I've not discussed so far, then I'll pick it up. Scoring decent in one section while bad in other two, but the section in which I get decent changes from mock to mock, what is the problem? It's not a problem. It may happen in the final CAT as well. As long as you have 2 good sectionals where you have done very, very well, let's say 97, 98, 99, one section with let's say a 90 or an 88, 87, that is still okay. Right? So the fluctuations is a part of evolution in the CAT journey, I would say, where the scores keep fluctuating. But as I mentioned some time back, the baseline is important, right? The baseline could be something like 6 to 8 questions in VRC, a 5 questions in Quant, and one set in DILR. Harsh, predicted percentile is real because it's showing quite good percentile. Predicted percentile is prediction, right? The way you have stock market predictions, where based on past data, people tell you something will go up or down. We are telling you that okay, with the deadweight that is present in the CAT and the number of non-serious takers, your percentile will increase, right? But whether it is exact or not, nobody knows. It is based on past data of IMS students and their SimCAT scores versus actual CAT score. I saw the NMAT and SNAP mocks last year from IMS. Will the mocks be different? Yes, they will be. How much time we spend in SimCAT analysis? Roughly about 4 hours, not more than that. I'm going to do like a kind of a rapid fire where I give short responses, but I try and take more questions that way. I have 80-70 general non-engineer. How much should I target? No answer to that question. The higher you score, the better off you will be. Can I crack at starting today? Yes. I mean, it's not a false hope that I'm trying to give anybody. I'm saying that you have to put in effort. See, people who have been preparing for the last 1 year, how do you compete against these people? If let's say these people have put, I don't know, let's take 800 hours of effort, what will you have to do? You'll have to do at least 600 hours, correct? If I have to do that in the next 60 days, I'll have to maybe study 10 hours a day. So people who have, let's say, just started, can you crack it? The answer is yes. But will everybody put in the effort that is required? The answer is no. DILR timing is the issue. Also, I have completed CEP. So with respect to timing, right? See, you have to constantly be aware of that. So while you're solving questions offline, keep a stopwatch next to you, keep a timer next to you, and time yourself. If you're not able to crack a set in 10 minutes, go to the solution, take a hint from it, and then try to solve the set. If you're still not able to solve after another 10 minutes, go and watch the video solution. 4 hours of analysis includes revise with AI questions because it takes me around 8-9 hours as I solve remaining questions and revise with AI questions. No, 4 hours of, I'm saying, assuming you're not doing any additional AI powered practice, etc. If you add that, then the time will of course go up. How much time do you have to give for SNAP and NMAT from now on? Not too much, maybe 5 to 6 hours in the week should suffice. How to overcome the fear of scoring less in a mock before starting the particular mock just because you have been scoring less in previous mocks? Again, easier said than done, but don't think about it. And see, the point is, people think that they will get good SimCAT scores and that will continue, right? But again, if you look at a stock performance, you will see fluctuations, right? The price keeps moving up and down. But if it is a fundamentally good stock, it will make money for the investors, right? So if you take that analogy, no matter what fluctuations you are seeing right now, if your concepts are in place, if you put in the effort that is required, the final outcome should be in your favor. My VA scores are decent. What should be the best strategy to improve DLR and QA? See, it's a pure function of practice, right? The more you solve, the better you get. So I'll say at least the method that I've explained, right? One mock every alternate day, one CAT equivalent every alternate day, right? If you can do that much, that should take care of it. But if there is one area which is a problem for you, do more questions of that area. So if Quant is a problem, do additionally 30-40 questions of Quant that you can handle, right? Easy to read RCs are difficult question. Is it true or just I'm feeling? Right? There's nothing like that. I mean, on easy reading RCs, you can make difficult questions. On difficult RCs, you can make easy questions. Alright, another 5 minutes is what we have. So let's take more questions. I'm glad that quite a few of you are still here and asking questions. I'll try and take as many as possible. But see, what happens is the questions get repetitive and more or less it's the same story that I'm saying again and again, right? So that is why I'm taking the ones that I have not answered. I'm scoring in 80s, 90s. After analyzing, I find out that I could have scored 110, 120. One section always goes down the drain. How to improve from here on? See, if you look at what mistakes you are making, right, Is it a silly mistake? Is it's a selection problem and all of that? You will just start being more aware of what you should be doing. So if I realize that every time I make a silly mistake in oral calculation, the next time you can use a calculator. It will take maybe additionally 3-4 seconds, but that will ensure that you are getting more marks. You are getting ahead of the population. You are getting the score that you deserve. So that is why just be cognizant of, okay, these are the kind of mistakes that I'm making. If it is a selection problem, work on that. If it is accuracy issue, work on that. So there is a solution for everything, provided you have analyzed it enough so that you know what exactly needs to be done. Okay. How much time to give for RC in exam? Depends, but 6 to 8 minutes is a good time for any RC. At what minimum percentile will an average student get a call from IM? Again, no unique answer to that question. It depends on your profile and your category and all of that. But see, the simplest aim to keep, right, is to think of it as what's the best that I can do. Let me not bother with how many seats are there in an IM. See, everybody, if you look at social media, if you talk to friends, whatever, everybody is bothered about a couple of things. Number one, IM selection process is not fair, right? Number two, seat distribution. Number three, the weightages that they give you. Number four, past year data. But see, the point is that how many seats do you need and what is in your control? You need one seat at any IM. What is in your control is your CAT preparation. If you focus on that and keep all these distractions aside, you will have a better outcome. How to start CAT prep? If you're asking this question with 60 days to go, I have one simple advice. You will have to put in far more effort compared to others. It is possible, but you will have to possibly take one mock every alternate day, 3 sectionals every alternate day, 2 class exercises every single day, and maybe 1 practice exercise every single day. So that's going to be a huge effort. Okay, so if you're ready to do that, it's still possible. For 25 CAT prep, then you're in the wrong session, my friend. If you're asking about CAT 25 prep, you have more than a year. You can start at any point of time. Join IMS if possible. We'll be very happy to have you. And then, of course, once you start your class exercises and everything, there's a natural order there, so it will fall in place. Average number of questions to attempt for 90 percentile. Depending on your accuracy, assuming let's say something like a 75% accuracy, depending on what overall difficulty is, you would still need, aim for at least 40% of the paper. Should I attend all 4 RCs or choose 3? I don't know whether you will be able to make that decision right now. Right? See, if the RCs are reasonably good, you will do all 4. So don't go with the fixed mindset that I'm going to do 3 RCs or 4 RCs. You say that, okay, whatever is easy, whatever is doable, I'm going to do that first. Ideal number of mocks to take per week from now on, anywhere between 3 to 4. Okay. What is the ideal time to study in a day to get 95 plus percentile? There is no such magic number. Okay, don't let anybody fool you with an answer to that question. There is no magic number, right? You need to figure out how much time do you need to spend, how many questions you need to solve. So if I say all of you should be solving, let's say 66 questions per day, for which let's say you need, let's say 3.5 hours, right? If you think that you will need more, you do more, right? So everybody's appetite is different, everybody's need is different, right? So I can't say that everybody should take 1 gram of body weight in kgs, that much amount of protein every single day. It depends. If you're somebody who is running, you will need maybe more. If you are a sedentary lifestyle, you would need less, right? So there's no answer to how many hours. Let's say number wise, aim for numbers rather than aim for hours. That's a better way to set targets. I'm having an existential crisis right now. Should I go for CAT or bank exams? The stuff I've been taught in IMS would be applicable in banks exams as well. In fact, I had a friend who was preparing for me when I was a student for CAT. Ended up joining SBI. Right? So the CAT prep that you do definitely helps you for other exams or the government exams that are out there. Whether to do this or that, my point is, why not this and that? Okay. So take CAT, let's see what happens. After that, if you have to take government exams, take it. The prep will always help. All right, I think in the interest of time, we'll have to wrap this up. We'll definitely have another session next week as well, when I'll take more questions. We'll have a slightly different agenda that time. Maybe we'll focus on some particular aspects, etc. But otherwise, I think we have had a nice 1 hour conversation on the whole thing. I hope I've answered most of the questions. I would suggest people to drop in the question if I was not able to answer it as a comment, right? Because once the stream is over, the video is there, going to be there on the channel. Put it as a comment and I will try and reply as early as possible. Okay, but currently, in the interest of time, I'll have to wrap this discussion up. Thanks everyone for joining. Wish all of you all the best. I hope this interaction has helped you. And if there's anything, feel free to reach out, leave a comment on this particular video once it is there, and I'll try and get back as soon as possible. Okay, bye everyone, take care, and don't lose the momentum, right? See, this is the stage where a lot of people, right? And just the way I saw peak attendance was like 100 plus, 120, 130, etc. Um, everybody will have apprehension, everybody will have doubt in their head. The point is to understand that, okay, there is a doubt, and I don't have to really have an answer at this point of time to that whole doubt. When I say doubt, it's not a conceptual doubt. I'm talking about this doubt about my ability to crack the CAT. But you have to understand that, okay, that is going to be there, right? So as cliched as it may sound, डर सबको लगता है. So you have to understand that, okay, this is what it is. This is how it will be for everybody else. Right? Everybody is in the same boat. You have to maintain your calmness, your mental stamina. You have to work on your physical stamina as well, to sit at for extended period and take mock tests, practice a lot of questions, and just focus on the process. The outcome will kind of take care of itself, right? So do that. I hope it has helped you, and thanks for some of the comments that I saw towards the end of the chat regarding the session, right? So great. Okay, all right. Thanks Rohan, thanks for this. Watching this from XIMB, got 95 percentile last year, student of IMS Deccan Pune, and shout out to Gaurav sir who helped me with VRC, scored 99 point something there. Keep working, guys. Thanks Rohan for sharing your experience with IMS, and we are very happy that we played our part in this whole thing. So great. Wish all of you all the best once again, and I'll see you soon, very soon, in some or the other session. Okay, bye everyone.